All right, so I'm back, and today we're going to. Sorry, just the camera. Okay. All right, we're going to talk more about MPO9. So, about a week and a half ago, I guess, I brought up the topic of MPO9 and why people don't like him. Earlier this week, I did a kind of a rant of the week of like what would happen if MPO9 or MPO9 if Rodimus or Hot Rod was not in the G1 movie. Now we're gonna just talk more about the toy and just kind of discuss it as well. Now, again, I've never had the Takara version. I am working on that. A friend of mine says that there's somebody out there that's rebuilding them. They're taking the broken ones and kind of restoring it into a more usable figure. And that's pretty cool. So I'm at some point I'm definitely gonna get a hold of that. So right off the bat, one of the things, one of the reasons why I wanted to do this. I just broke another chair. cheap Walmart chairs. Anyway, all right. So one of the reasons why I wanted to do this topic in the way that I did it was I wanted to get input from you guys. And one of the things that a lot of people said was because it's Hot Rod. Why people don't like him is because it's Hot Rod. And I wanted to talk about that because it kind of coincides with my review of MP36, Megatron. Because a lot of people have been saying, how good that figure is, and their excuses for it, and overlooking certain things, almost coincides with a lot of problems that Rodimus has. Not all the Rodimus problems. That's a different thing, but I think it's one of those. It's like some people are just kind of like so eager to have an official Megatron that maybe they're overlooking the flaws. And I'm not. I never said that the figure, don't get the figure, you won't enjoy it. I just said I don't like the figure. I gave it a low rating because I have to go off of. I go on the figure as a whole. A lot of people. One of my friends was telling me earlier today that he doesn't care if, like Megatron, for example, he doesn't care that he can't transform it because he just wanted it for robot mode, and that's where I can't look at it. I can't look at it like that. I have to look at it as a whole. Both modes, getting to both modes, and if it damages the figure to get to the next mode, I have to really analyze that. Now, Rodimus is one of those kind of figures. Now, if you watch my old Rodimus review at the end, I can't remember what I rated it, and I know I said I don't recommend this figure at all. I'm probably going to do a re-review of him soon, just to kind of do it again. But so a lot of the flaws that Rodimus has, we're gonna talk about the ones that plague the figure, that also plague Megatron as well. We're gonna start with those, and then we'll go into the stuff that's just for the Rodimus. Now, the first issue that this figure had was these thin panels on the legs. Especially these ones on the side. These ones aren't so great either. Now, these ones are pinned in, so if these ones break, they're broken, they're gone. This one was pinned in. The first release for Takara had these pinned in. So if you had that figure, you're pretty likely to have that break off. I believe Optibotimus broke his during the review or right before, somewhere in the middle of it, like practicing. So that was the first major QC issue with the figure. They did, like I said, they did repair it for the Hasbro and then the version 2 for Takara, where this is on this, it's on a port system where if it pops out, you can pop it back in, which is a good fix. You know, I mean, you can't undo that. The next thing is the thin plastic. Now, Megatron is filled with those, so now he's got them too. You know, that's why we're talking about it, and that's one of the reasons why I wanted to bring it up like that, is because I wanted to compare it to the Megatron and how everyone likes him but hates him. That's just one of those things. It's like, now the cheap plastic. I wouldn't call it cheap, but there is a lot of spots. And the same with Megatron. I won't call his plastic cheap. It's just some spots, like the backpack, especially where it's very thin in spots. See, like the arms, certain parts in the arms are very thin. The chest is thin. You got, like, this will open up, and that's really thin plastic there. The legs, they have like 3 or 4 panels on there that are really thin. So those are cheap. They're not cheap, but a lot of people call them cheap, and it's just they're just really thin, and that's the kind of price of the business for doing this particular character the way they did it. Could they have done it better? Yeah, DX9 proved you could do Rodimus better. The aesthetics of the DX9 carry, well, on one side are really cool. On the other side, they're not the G1 version of the character, so part of me can't quite get behind it either. This visor's not staying up. Alright, another issue is paint chipping. Now, this guy does not have that much paint on him. Some people didn't like that. I think it's okay. But like paint chipping on, you know, here, where he does have paint applied, it does have a tendency of chipping really easy, especially during transformation. Again, like Megatron. Another pretty big flaw of the figure. Luckily, like I said, he doesn't have as much paint as Megatron does. So it's, well, it does happen. It doesn't happen as much because there's not much for it to chip. So yeah, there's that. Let's see, what else? See, people did not like, I guess the really kind of the last one before we get into his own issues is the feet. Now, his feet are bigger than Megatron's. But the problem with them is the fact that, like Megatron, they've got this ratchet in there that instantly goes to extreme angles. Not so much the rocker, but the tilt. So sometimes you get it like all over the place. Alright, sorry. And then the backpack. How the backpack doesn't clip in all the way. It has a tendency of coming out. This one's on there pretty good. But right here, this gray tab here, has a tendency of popping out, and then the whole backpack will come down. That would have actually stayed really good. Of course, you know, the one I want to point out where there's a flaw, you just have to push it down there really good, but it does hold. It does hold if you do it right, but it is a flaw, and I did acknowledge it during my review, and I'm acknowledging it now. I ain't hiding that fact. It is a flaw. Now, Megatron also has that with his back kibble, some of his places, especially where the cannon attaches. I was complaining in the video that I really wish it would have tabbed in. And that's it for the similarities in between the two with their particular flaws that I've seen. You know, a lot of people break their figures during the transformation. And one of the things I was telling my friend earlier today is just, he was arguing the point that figures break and such, and yes, they do. Transform a lot and they start failing. But since MP10, for the official Masterpiece figures, and this is one of the reasons why I was so shocked, is because as far as the official Masterpiece figures go, since MP10, none of the other ones had these kind of issues. They had aspects that people didn't like, Hot Rod. He's got the flat chest, but it makes the car look really accurate. They have their flaws here and there, but none of them were plagued so much with QC issues like the Megatron. And I'm sorry, paint chipping because you use accessories, that's a QC issue, or just a flaw in the design. I'd rather say QC issue, because then there's still hope that somebody can fix it, in later releases. So, one can only hope, right? So back to Rodimus now, I guess. Another thing, a lot of people didn't like the elbows. I think they're fine. They've got these little covers on them now. I think the first one didn't have, the Takara one didn't have them, which does allow you to bend the elbow a little bit more past if it wasn't there. And you kind of have to fiddle with it to get it back into place. But I think it looks fine, for me. Spindly little hands. No question about that one. Those hands are a little tiny. They work. No, they don't work. They don't work for this figure at all. They do look pretty skinny. If you fold them up in a fist, they look okay. Can't really hold his accessories very well. That is also another one that Megatron had. People said the gun splits apart, but I mean I think that's the gimmick. Unless you're talking about it breaking apart, I'm not sure. The Hasbro version came with the Target Master, which, as far as I'm concerned, is utterly worthless in the hands. So this particular one's holding the gun pretty well, so no problem there. But it is one of those, like, yeah, sometimes they'll do it, sometimes it won't. Man, this I haven't really messed with this particular copy, but this one seems to be one of the ones that has no QC issues. Of course, I'm trying to show off the flaws of a figure, and I get one that actually doesn't have as many flaws as the other ones. He's got the chrome wear going on, but that's fine. Fine-ish, I guess. Alright, and then the biggest flaw that I've heard, I've yet to see this one. I've right now, this is my third and fourth copy of this figure. And I've yet to see this one happen myself, but I've heard it enough that I believe it will happen. The springs in the shoulders, and I believe the ones in the legs too, maybe? I know the shoulders for a fact, but something goes on in the shoulders where the springs are too tight, and eventually the arm just explodes. So that's not a good thing to have happen. Again, like I said, I haven't seen that one myself. I'm sure it's only a matter of time, because I actually take him down, transform him every now and then. So at some point I will probably shatter one of these guys' arms, if not both of them. I want to get the Takara version, but now it's just one of those that's like, now the Takara version came with the trailer, and I believe he was about $220, I think. Don't quote me on that. The Hasbro version was about $70. It didn't come with the trailer, though. So it's like, people still say this version is garbage, all the Rodimuses are garbage, but they say this one's garbage at that price point, and yet the Megatron, people say at $230 with a lot of the same flaws. That's where I have to sit there and be like, I have to argue with you. It's like, yeah, this guy's garbage. I'm not going to argue that point. But that's one of the reasons why I gave the Megatron such a hard time, was because it's like, if this is garbage, this guy that's like 3 times as much, he's definitely not great. I'm trying to watch my words here because I don't want people to start screaming at me again. I knew I was going to get ripped a new one for that. Now, the figure itself looks great. I think he looks good. I think the car mode looks great. I love this car mode. It just looks so much like Hot Rod. Now, obviously, this is not Rodimus Prime. The Takara version comes with the trailer. I know I could get the trailer if I wanted to, but the colors don't quite match from what I understand. So, I don't want to do that. I'll probably end up just getting the Takara version, and I'm probably going to get the DX9 one because I am a huge Hot Rod fan. And I just want to have like a little Hot Rod collection. Now, I think the car mode looks great, and I think overall, I think he's the best representation of Hot Rod you'll ever get. Now, as far as Rodimus goes, at least with the American version, I don't like it. I don't like it at all. I don't think the face is... That's my flaw with this figure, is the scale. Now, he's built to scale with... It's weird to say this because MP10 came out after him, but he's built to scale as Rodimus Prime with MP10. You could kind of argue MP01 to him if he's in Hot Rod mode. You could kind of argue that would work. Maybe the MPP10 would scale with it. I haven't messed with that figure, and I might just have to get that eventually. Everyone would say it's amazing. But as far as I'm concerned, though, it's just he's not the Rodimus that I want. DX9 kind of fills those shoes a little bit better for a Rodimus Prime. Now, for Hot Rod, I think he looks amazing. I think he does look better than this guy in robot mode. Not saying that this guy looks bad by any means. I think this guy looks amazing. I love him. And I'm probably going to get another one of him, too. I think I'll probably get the KO version. Just because. But yeah, the scale, because like I said, this works more like as a Hot Rod. So if he's a Hot Rod, then he doesn't fit into your Masterpiece collection. That's the next thing I want to talk about, is the fact that a lot of people don't consider him in the modern Masterpiece collection. Some ways I would say he is, and some ways I would say he isn't. If you're okay with the way he looks as the Rodimus Prime, then I would say definitely put him in your MP collection. Because like if you're okay with like Megatron kind of issues, as long as you want to put him on your shelf and not mess with him, you've got your perfect Hot Rod, or your Rodimus Prime. If you're looking for a good Hot Rod, and you don't care about scale, then he's also your guy. This guy functions better as a toy, and he functions really well as a Hot Rod, and he's in the MP scale as a Hot Rod. So this is the way to go if you want to go with that. But I'll show you. I mean, the arms and the legs kind of have this gimmick where you kind of make him look a little bit taller. It's kind of weird to do it. I'm trying to remember how to do the arms. I know the legs, there's a double swivel in there, and you just kind of fold it down. And see, the way it works, it just kind of drops that leg just a little bit. So he just kind of looks a little bit bigger. It's kind of a cheap way to do it, but it does work, I guess. Somehow, like I said, the shoulders, I guess you kind of extend them down like that. And then what you do is you pull the head back, and then the older Rodimus Prime comes out. You slide that in, and it looks okay. Maybe it's because I have the Hasbro version. That one's more for Hot Rod, but he looks okay. He doesn't look great. He doesn't look fantastic, but he looks okay. So I want to get the Takara one. Oh, and then the knees. I hear the knees break. I hadn't heard that until somebody made replacement parts. To be completely honest. But yeah, so like I said, my thing is I wish they would have focused on making a really good Rodimus Prime for the Takara release. Screw the fact, it's like they designed the figure. This, like I said, this is my big issue with the figure. My personal big issue with it. They designed the figure to be both Hot Rod and Rodimus Prime in both modes. So there's actually, and I haven't done it yet because I don't have the trailer, but there's a way that you could transform this to be more like the front of the Winnebago, and then the trailer attaches to it. I think that's where they were wrong. I think that's where they shouldn't have done it. They should have made it just gone all out with the Rodimus Prime. I don't think it should have been both. That's the biggest flaw with this figure. Overall, the figure itself, I love the figure. Like I said, I think it's great because I'm a Hot Rod fan. Will I ever recommend it? Not really. I can't honestly recommend this figure. If you're okay with getting a figure out of the box, preferably like the Hasbro one comes in robot mode, and he's pretty decent condition in there. So if you get him brand new in box, just take him out, put him on your shelf, you're good. I think you'll be okay with it. Just like the Megatron, all my flaws with the Megatron came with the transformation and the accessories that revolve around gun mode. The overall aesthetic of it I didn't like that much, but my biggest complaint was the transformation and the damage that it happens with the transformation. The same goes with him. If you take him out and you're in robot mode and you're fine, then go, by all means, get both of them. You're gonna be happy with them. I think most people would be happy with this guy looking at him from the shelf. I think he looks great. If you want a Rodimus Prime. And he's in the scale, like I said. If you go with Rodimus Prime mode, he's in scale for what you want for the MP collection. If you want a Hot Rod, then get the Hot Rod figure. It's cheaper and just all around better. If you want a great Rodimus Prime that also transforms and does a good job of it, then Carry is going to be a better option. That's one of the things I was trying to convey with my Megatron review, is just like, if you want something that transforms, then the other figures are a better option. If you want something that looks good sitting on the shelf, then you'll be happy with the Megatron. Like I said, I love the accessories, I love the paint. It just, if it chips off during transformation, I don't like it. Alright, anyway. So yeah. I still, like I said, I can't recommend this figure in good conscience, if that makes sense. But if you're looking for a great representation of Hot Rod, if you're a huge fan of Hot Rod, definitely pick this figure up. Just go into it knowing that there's horrible flaws with the figure. And you're going to need to, like, I think TF Wiki said it best, put it on the shelf and back away slowly. And preferably, if you could get some rubber mats to put under his feet, because like the Megatron, he's got die-cast feet. So because they're die-cast and they're really smooth, he doesn't sit on glass or smooth surfaces as well as Hot Rod, or as any other figure that has plastic feet. Think of it almost like in terms of the bigger combiners. You need to have something underneath those feet to really kind of give it a good grip. That's what that's what he's like, and that's what Megatron's like. But yeah. Anyway, yeah, I think it's a very underrated figure, though. I don't think it's worthy of the hate that he's gotten. That's my final assessment on it. Just, I don't recommend it. Horrible transformation. It's gonna break on you at some point. But depending on your own sensibilities, as Skullface likes to say, depending on your own sensibilities, he might be worth it. For me, he's worth it. The Megatron, not worth it. I'm a bigger fan of Hot Rod than I am Megatron, so there comes the bias part. So a lot of people are going to love Megatron more than Hot Rod, so they're going to sit there and say that Megatron's better than the Hot Rod, and they would recommend the Megatron and not the Hot Rod because they don't care for Hot Rod. That's why I wanted to talk about that in the movie. Like, just like so many people don't like Hot Rod that, you know, it's like they just wish he never was around, and it's like I don't agree with that at all. So anyway, I guess that's it. Yeah, I don't think there's anything else to go over with this particular character. I had a lot of fun with this, so we'll probably do more of these at some point. I just had a hard time putting my thoughts into one coherent video, but yeah, I guess that's really it.